Welcome back, everybody. In today's video, we're going to be deworming my venomous snakes. Now this right here is Safeguard. It's also called Panda Cure. It's a goat dewormer. This goat dewormer has been used for a long time to treat reptiles for worms. So this right here treats, I think, 10 to 12 different species of worms. Now it's always good to deworm all your snakes, even if you don't see worms, because they could have it could be developing. So it's good to just stay on top of your deworming. You can deworm twice, maybe 3 times a year, but it's always really good. Now what we're gonna go for today is a super low dosage of this, and we're gonna do it about 3 times. So every single week, we're gonna give them a low dose of this dewormer. Now if any of these snakes were to have worms visually, if I could see it in their poop, I would go ahead and I would do a high dosage for these snakes. So I've already came in here and I've already weighed all these snakes, so I know the exact calculations on what to give them. If you look over here, you'll see our food for today. Now, it's not a lot of food, it's just a little snack. So everyone's just getting 1 rat each, except for the pygmy rattlesnake and our coral cobra. So it's just gonna be a little snack. You don't wanna feed them too much. Now, you really can't overdose your snake with this Panda Cure right here. If you give them too much, it's not gonna kill them. All they do is regurgitate. Now, back in the day, before I used to weigh my snakes, I would just go ahead, follow the chart, kind of think what they weighed, and I would do it like that. One time I gave a snake too much of this Panda Cure, nothing happened, all it did was regurgitate its meal. So it's very important to weigh your snake, follow the chart, and use it just like that. If you go online, there's all different kinds of charts that shows you. We're going by grams and milliliters. So right here, this is a little milliliter syringe, and it's not a lot. So for a snake like this blue Insularis, it's only gonna be about 0.05 milligrams. So it's a very small amount of Panda Cure. Now for the King Cobra, it's almost gonna be a full syringe full. So it just depends on which snake. So what we'll do is we'll break down these rats between left to right. The snake's gonna feed. The only snake we're not gonna feed today is the Mengsheng Viper because he's live. Now when we get him on frozen thawed, then we'll start his deworming treatment. So first things first, let's throw in some gloves and let's start injecting these rats with some dewormer. Now if you guys look off to my right, these are our new enclosures. So these are the second largest enclosure we're gonna be getting from this company. This right here is the 5-footer. We're also gonna be getting an 8-footer. So this King Cobra is gonna be going from a 6-foot enclosure to an 8-foot enclosure. Now these reptile tanks are actually super affordable. So if any of you guys want these in your collection, right here, Reptile Habitats, you can get them at dubia.com. One of the best reptile enclosures. Now, a few good things about these enclosures is they're stackable, right? So you buy inch spacers, you can stack these enclosures. It's real glass, it's made from PVC and aluminum, so they're super lightweight. So they're easy to pick up, they're stackable, and unlike the vision cage, there is a teeny tiny little gap in between the glass. Now, a problem with the vision cages is the gap is just too big. So if you put smaller snakes in here, they could escape. Then we were running little strips to prevent that. Also, there's no lips, so the snakes aren't gonna be hiding on the lip. They're not gonna be hiding on the bottom lip. Poop's not gonna get stuck. It's pretty much an all-around great cage. What you can also do is get the grow lights and boom, you can add LED lighting without installing it inside the cage. You just throw a grow light right on top and boom, they're ready to go. They also have a large mesh on top, so it's probably the best ventilation out of any reptile cage on the market. Highly recommend getting some of these. So we're gonna get about 7, 8 more when I get paid, but if anyone wants to donate some of these, go ahead, DM me on Instagram. I'll send you my address, you can buy a cage, and we'll give you a big shout out. So what we're gonna do, we got our gloves on, let's get our syringe over here. And right now, we're gonna start off with the blue Insularis. If you come in, right here is a little rat pup. You can see these white spots on it, that's just freezer burn. It's not gonna affect the snakes at all. So if you have rats and they're in the freezer, your freezer is either too cold or it's been in there for too long, you'll get freezer burn. That's no big deal. What we did is we just turned our freezer down because it was too cold. But it's perfectly safe for the snakes. Just a little bit. So this will be for the blue Insularis. All you're gonna do is open up the mouth of the rat and you're just gonna, boom, punch it in there just like that. So not a lot. We're gonna do another one for the baby monocled cobra. And don't go anywhere because the best part about this video is feeding these venomous snakes. Now these venomous snakes, I'll tell you what, they don't know how to act. Gotta use a better syringe. I don't have the best syringe, but that's okay. It's gonna work just fine. You just gotta make sure it gets inside the stomach of the rat. All right, the small rats are really hard to do. When you start getting into these bigger rats, it's a lot easier. So now, the next snake we're gonna do it for weighs about 5 pounds. for our West Coast rattlesnake. Yeah, we're really not using the right syringe. You need one that's super, super long that can get to the stomach, but this will get the job done. Last but not least, we have 4 rats for the king cobra. Now, all we're gonna do is inject one of these rats. Now, when you feed king cobras, typically in the wild, they're used to eating snakes, so it's a super long, super big meal. But to get a good range on how much you should feed a king cobra, obviously if it's the size of mine that's going to be eating a small ball python, take some rats, put them in a line. If that looks like the same amount of meat that's on a snake, that's what you should be feeding your king cobra. Now you're not going to feed your 10-foot long king cobra 1 rat unless it's a super big rat, which is also another problem because jumbo rats are just too large for a king cobra to get around. Now they don't have big heads because they're not eating big rats and big mammals, they're eating snakes. That's why they have super long bodies, but super small heads. So the king cobra is actually gonna get just under 5 milliliters. So we're just gonna inject one of these rats with 5 milliliters. We checked the chart a couple times just to make sure we have the right dosages, but everyone is all ready to go. I know which rats go with which snakes. So now we're gonna change our gloves, put on a new pair, and let's start feeding some venomous snakes. All right, guys, the first venomous snake we're going to feed, which is also my favorite venomous snake to feed, is my gaboon viper. Now, we've been expanding the collection ever since we got rid of a lot of snakes. We're getting more high-end stuff. So we are slowly but surely growing. I'm more focused on getting all my enclosures set up. Then we'll worry about getting a lot new cobra species, rare cobra species, hopefully maybe some albino baboons. You never know. Just look at this old vision cage that was spray painted compared to these. I mean, even if this wasn't spray painted, compared to this cage, I mean, the height, the length, I mean, for a 5-foot cage, you're only paying $350. For a 4-foot cage, you're only paying $299 versus a vision cage that is probably well over $1,000 for a 4-foot cage. So a much better sustainable option. All right, guys, don't blink because you'll miss it. This right here is the gaboon viper. Just a small little meal for the gaboon. Like I always say in every video, they don't eat much, they don't poop much, they don't shed much. They're a very opportunistic predator that just sits, lies, waits. Sometimes they're only gonna get a meal once every 2 months, maybe once every 3 months, but when they do, it's usually a big animal. Unlike the king cobra, who's gonna eat smaller snakes, they're really not gonna eat a huge mammal like a gaboon viper would. So we got the gaboon viper fed. Let's move on to something smaller. Let's feed this monocled cobra that Chandler gave me. Whew. Whew. She got a little taste. Boom. Nice. All right. Get your butt back in there. All right, moving on from the monocled cobra, let's go to one of my most favorite snakes, the black-headed bushmaster. Now, typically when she doesn't grab her prey on the first strike, we have to warm it up with some hot water, but I think she'll grab this pretty easily. This right here is a little rat pup. A nice little meal for this guy. And they always kind of look skinny because they have that high ridge on their back. So black-headed bushmasters don't start looking filled out till they really get older in age. You gotta be very careful. Bushmasters are known for shooting past the tongs and biting people in their hands. Now I know a guy who's actually bit by a bushmaster this exact way by a bigger one. So he was just feeding it, it went past the tongs, bit him in his hand, and he actually has a permanent lazy eye from getting bitten by a bushmaster. So this rat is a little cold. It's only been defrosting for a couple hours, so we might have to heat this up. All right, no worries. This is good because I want to show you guys what happens if your snake won't eat a frozen dog. Throw it in some hot water. You can even throw it in boiling hot water, and immediately this snake will eat this. So we'll put this off to the side, and I'll show you guys the difference between feeding a snake a room temperature rat and feeding a snake a hot rat. All right, guys, this rat is warmed up. Now watch the difference when it comes to the feeding response on this bushmaster. Her heat pits can literally visually pick up on this. See? Destroyed it. All right, guys, now we have the pygmy rattlesnake that we don't have something her size, so we're just gonna give her 4 little pinkies. So this right here is also known as the ground rattler in Florida. So it's one of our 3 native rattlesnakes. So we're just gonna take this, we're just gonna plop them right there. It'll give you guys a good look at her. Now, pygmy rattlesnakes, you gotta be really careful. If you feed them something too big, they'll almost always regurgitate it. But she's not a normal, she's actually a striped. So this isn't your average pygmy rattlesnake. This girl is very, very rare. Now, one of my dreams is to produce striped pygmy rattlesnakes, and hopefully we can accomplish that one day. Now, their rattle is so small, they're actually the world's smallest species of rattlesnake. They say if you can hear pygmy rattlesnakes rattle, you're close enough to get bit. And we have the Cape Coral Cobra. We'll do the same thing. We'll just throw some pinkies in there. Now, this is the snake we covered in our last video. That was the world's best beginner venomous snake. So it is a really good beginner venomous snake. The only downfall with this snake is there's no anti-venom. So are you gonna die? Maybe, probably not, but there's no anti-venom. So you better be ready to rough it out. Look at the gaboon viper. Look at that. You can see his trachea opening right there. Now that is how snakes breathe when they eat. It runs all the way out to almost the tip of their mouth, and that's how they can have a mouthful of rat and still be able to breathe. All right, guys, now let's feed something fun. Let's feed something fun. So right here, we have 2 rats for 2 snakes. One's a little bit heavier, so we got a little bit more deworming solution. This monocled cobra is a little bit lighter, so she got a little bit less. Now this right here, ooh, don't come at me. This right here is our leucistic monocled cobra. Ooh, my favorite monocled cobra morph. Hopefully she doesn't grab the 13 rats sitting right behind her. You can see she already got that scent. She's ready to go. Wrong way, wrong way, wrong way. Come here. Ooh, a nice yummy rat with some fresh dewormer milk inside. So that's the monocled. Man, I cannot wait to get all these snakes upgraded into those big, beautiful cages. I mean, how cool is that going to be walking by and a big leucistic monocled cobra is going to be right next to the glass. All right, guys. The next snake we're going to deworm is our albino western diamondback rattlesnake. Now, a lot of these snakes I know I don't have to deworm. The chances of them having worms is slim to none. But there is some snakes that I get from some people who aren't my really good friends and I don't trust that I do want to deworm. So this is going to be one of those snakes. This came from a big collection that was bought by me and Ryan Gratney. It came from a guy who we don't really know. So those are the snakes you really want to deworm. It's snakes you get from people who you don't know what kind of keeper they are, how their husbandry is. I'm sure this guy was a great venomous keeper, but we don't know. So we're going to want to deworm this snake. This rattlesnake usually bites and lets go, just like they would do in the wild. Bit, let go, flung venom all over the floor. But much different than a gaboon viper who bites and holds on. So gaboon vipers don't move much, so they're not going to bite, let go, and go hunt down their prey. Rattlesnakes, they're basically just more athletic. So they're going to bite, let their prey run off, die. They'll actually follow the scent trail. They'll go and grab their prey, which is kind of better for the snake because they're not biting a live rat. The live rat's not turning around, scratching and biting them. So they're minimizing risk of getting harmed by their prey when they just bite and let go. Beside her there was the albino western diamondback rattlesnake, one of the biggest albino western diamondback rattlesnakes I've ever seen, and I'm happy she's in my collection. All right, here we have 2 dosed up rat pups. Now, we're gonna give both of these, only one's medicated, but we're gonna give both of these to Blue and Solaris. So this snake by far is my prettiest venomous snake. When people walk in the snake room, they're like, wow, 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 wow. They come over here and they're like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, there's no way. So there's really only 2 blue snakes in the world. You have the Barron's Racer, and you also have the Blue and Solaris. So there's not many snakes in the entire world that are baby blue. Maybe the Sri Lankan pit viper gets a little blue, but when it comes to true baby blue, the Blue and Solaris, oh, just missed it. The Blue and Solaris is the only true blue venomous snake. Oof. Slam that. Now we're just gonna remove my super complex, heavy duty, expensive lock. Now this Tazabcan is deep in shed, so we don't know if she's gonna eat, but it's worth a shot. Now the gentleman before me who actually had her, he was feeding her a large to jumbo rat once every 2 weeks. Now we've been feeding a lot here, so I'm only gonna feed her just a small medium rat. She's coming out of the cage. Come on, come on. Look at that, deep in shed. And she's still, ooh, she just missed it. This right here is El Chapo, the Tazabcan rattlesnake, also known as the Yucatan neotropical rattlesnake. These guys are native to Mexico. He's a bad mofo, that's why his name is El Chapo. Now, I hate when a snake misses its first strike and its second strike because they just lose so much confidence. So snakes strike once, they strike twice, and they're like, all right, I'm not wasting any time, I'm not gonna waste my venom if it's not a prey item. But if he sits there long enough, he'll smell that rat and he'll eat it. All right, guys, now moving on. This isn't a venomous snake, but this is actually the oldest snake in this room. So this was actually my first snake as a child. So this snake is actually over 20 years old. A super awesome, sentimental snake for me. This is Rocky, my ball python. Now, don't click away. I promise we're about to feed the king cobra, but let's feed Rocky first. Now, Rocky's just gonna get a small rat. Ball pythons don't need to eat a ton. They eat once a week, like most snakes, but you're not gonna feed them a super huge meal because they're not really athletic. Ball pythons are known to sit in a ball all day. That's all they really do. But Rocky is an awesome snake. He's 20 years old and he's doing great. There's nothing wrong with him. He doesn't have any bumps. His eyes are perfectly fine as he misses his meal.
Twice.
But he's just a super awesome snake. Now, Rocky's actually only bitten one person in over 20 years, and that was my stepdad, who was actually feeding him with his hands. Rocky didn't mean to bite him, actually just struck past the rat, bit him right in the hand. Happens a lot with venomous snakes. So we'll lock him up. That's Rocky. Meng Shang's not eating. Let's jump over to the king cobra. This right here is Shatid. She's probably an 11-foot Malaysian king cobra. Now she's probably grown almost a foot since we got her from Tyler Nolan, and that's why I want to upgrade her to an 8-foot cage. So she's gonna look beautiful in a Reptile Habitat's 8-foot cage. Now they don't sell an 8-foot cage, but what you can do is buy 2 4-footers and add the extension kit. So you take 2 4-foot cages, join them together and create an 8-foot cage. And that's why Reptile Habitats is the best cage brand in the entire world. So let's get a snake hook and let's try to make her work for this rat. Let's see if she'll come out and chase us around.
Oh, yay.
Here we go. We're gonna feed the longest and probably the deadliest venomous snake in my collection. Now, drop for drop, maybe not the most venomous, but her venom yield is huge, and that's why she's the deadliest venomous snake in my snake collection. So she already smells that rat. You can see her. Come on. Oh, she got it quick, but man, she's a tough snake. I mean, you try to hold on and she just rips it right out of your hands. But she is getting thick. She is getting long. And let me tell you what, she's one heck of a king cobra. She's a Malaysian king cobra, which in my opinion is the most beautiful out of all the king cobra species. There's a couple different kinds. Malaysians are definitely probably one of the most beautiful, right next to the Sumatran king cobras. She's actually such a nice Malaysian king cobra. A lot of people think she's a Sumatran due to the colors on her hood, but she's not. She's actually a Malaysian king cobra. But that's her in there. Let's go ahead, let's give her these other rats and close her on up. All right, guys, and we're actually selling this big 6-foot custom Boa Master enclosure. We're selling all of our rats. So if you live in South Florida and you're interested in any tanks, any rats, go ahead, DM me. We'll work out a good price and you guys get any one of these rats. I mean, these rats right here with the ARS tubs are awesome. If you're trying to breed venomous snakes or ball pythons or even small boas, these are really good rats. And that is the end of today's episode. If you guys enjoyed watching me deworm all my venomous snakes, don't forget, like, comment. The most important part, subscribe to Stone's World. We'll see you next time.